Guys, welcome. We're gonna do another attempt to do the live together. We'll see how it goes. We're starting it a little bit early just to try to get situated and to try to get everybody where we need to be, I guess. So I'm just gonna wait for Miss Hannah to come in. Hey, we're gonna be talking about spirits today and not just ancestors, but an overall. Hey, Stephanie. Hey, Latish. Hope you guys are doing well. We're just waiting for Hannah. Hey, Penny, hope you're well. We're gonna try this again. I don't know if it will work, but we are gonna give it a shot again. So we'll see how that goes. Let me see. Oh, perfect. It's working. Let's see. It says adding, connecting. There you are. Finally.
Finally.
Took
Hi,
forever.
y'all.
Okay, so hey guys, welcome everybody. Today we're gonna be talking about spirit and spirit work. Um,
Hmm.
Hannah and I share very different perspectives, so our way is not the only way. There's so many ways to do this, and when we give this information, it's not to say that you can only do it this way. Hey girls, hey
No.
hey, we're happy it worked.
So we're not trying to enforce our beliefs on you at all, but we just giving y'all a sense of direction on what we believe in, and
And our
and if there's,
experiences.
yeah, and if there's anybody in the comment section that wants to tell what they believe, we're fine with that. Everybody's opinion matters. So
Correct.
um
So this was like a week in the making of trying to like get everybody here and trying to just do this. So I'm glad that today is the day.
yes.
So
Hi, Penny, how are you?
so I guess we have six people. I think let's just get right to it. Those of you that catch up
Okay.
later, you can just rewatch the intro. So today we're going
Hmm.
to be talking about spirits, you guys, and what that means, what to work with them, what we think about them, and our experiences with spirits. So
Hmm.
I guess the first thing is what are spirits, and I know that Hannah and I
Right.
both have a different definition of it. So if you want to go ahead, Miss Hannah, and give yours, and then I
Okay.
can give mine.
Okay, so I believe spirits are basically it's they were human first, okay? Spirits are basically kind of like made into reincarnation, okay? So with my beliefs that I believe that before they were spirits, they was human, and I believe that all spirits were made as humans and then they was reincarnated into spirits. So spirit for me, spirits travel more than one dimension, okay? So basically, they would be like, say for instance, if I passed away, my spirit will move on and it'll go to another body, and it'll go to another body, and then it'll go to another body. So I believe spirits are basically human, but in spirit form. And I don't believe that they are harmful. I believe they all have great meaning. That's my belief.
I mean, it's super interesting. I love it because you're talking about like interdimensional consciousness
Hmm.
traveling through and like it expanding itself. So that's a super cool point of view with it. I view
Hmm.
things a little bit kind of the same, but a little bit different. I see
Hmm.
spirits as energy, and energy
Hmm.
cannot be created nor destroyed. So I do believe that some are human and that some come out of like acts done by human or acts done by nature. And then where
Right.
we differ, I do believe that spirits can be dangerous. I do believe there are some that can like fuck people up and like some that can murder. We have a Mexican folk legend of La Llorona, the whaler, and she's known to like
Hmm.
drown little kids by the waters and stuff like that. When it comes to the afterlife, though, I love that you're like talking about interdimensional travel and like moving on with the spirit, because that also does play into energy cannot be created or destroyed. But I tend to
Right.
believe in the afterlife, because for Aztec people we go through trials and then we land in a
Yeah.
certain place. So but
Hmm.
I'm very here. You're definitely talking about reincarnation and you're talking about like that kind of stuff, and I love to hear that because I don't go much into that. But my focus is more like here on earth and then just the planes that are present on this side of earth.
See, I focus on the here and in the dimension, because I feel that spirits can travel into certain dimensions. You get what I'm saying? Even though the highest could be the highest dimension may be 13 or 12, right? A human can only travel to the fifth dimension. Um, but a spirit can travel in many dimensions. So, say for instance, if I wanted, it's kind of like astral projection. Let's put it in a metaphorical way. If I was going to astral project, my spirit, my soul is going to leave my body, and I can go into the future or I could go into my past. You get what I'm saying? So I'm going into a different dimension of different lives that I live. I believe that as before we became spirits, we became before we became human, as spirits we went into different dimensions, like from more than one. I believe that humans have more than one past life. You get what I'm saying? Like you can live more than one past life because your spirit never dies. Like
Yeah.
energy, you can't destroy it or create it, but you can always change its form. Spirits is like shift shapers.
Yeah, and see, that's so interesting because I don't do any work with reincarnation, or like I don't look at any of those aspects. To me, I just
Hmm.
feel like a piece of consciousness gets to live on, and then another piece of energy gets recycled. And I don't necessarily think that the earth will use it as another human. Sometimes I think that it just gets recycled into other expressions of energy. But I do love what you're
Physics.
talking about because,
Yeah.
like, interdimensional
That's a
spirit travel
that's
is,
in a physics. You're basically in a you're talking more physics
yeah.
and scientific. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
well,
get
you're
it.
also
Yeah,
talking physics, going into like other dimensions, just the different types of physics.
physics, right?
So these are our definitions, you guys. You guys will have your own definitions. You guys will have your own
Hmm.
expressions of them. And then why do spirits matter? Why do we mess around with spirits? Why do we like do engage with spirits? Or your reason? What is your reason to engaging the spirits?
Well, for one, I use divination. You know, and in order for me to use divination, I need spirits to lead me. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm not psychic, I'm intuitive. So when there's many ways that I could connect with spirits without having to think that I got to do it through meditation. I can do it through ruins. I can do it through tarot cards. I can do it through bones. You know what I'm saying? Like there's ways that you connect with spirits by physical, divination tools or psychic ability or channeling meditation. So I think it's important that you work with spirits when you are using any type of spiritual ascending. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Well, I do love that, and I do agree with that. Like, I do also go to the ancestors and other spirits for divination
Yeah.
because they were people, and people fought, they loved, they struggled, they succeeded. So I feel like they do carry a lot of great information and experience to give. I do more like favors. I ask them for favors. I try to make relationships with them, and then I will like ask them to go do this on my behalf or try to influence that person on my behalf, just because I don't know, I do a lot of that kind of work with. That's how I connect more with them. But
Right.
divination is a must. You should be doing.
Right. And thank you, Tia. Now, when you said ancestor work, now I do use spirits for ancestor work too, because I believe that a lot of people they think that they have to, when they do ancestors work, that they don't really fully do it right. One thing about doing ancestor work is a lot of people don't understand that if you're going to put your ancestors into spiritual work, you want to make sure that you're giving offering, okay, to them, whether it's water or food, and you don't want to just ask for a favor without an offering. That's like going to your mom at a young kid and be like, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, can I wash the dishes so I can go to the store?" You know what I'm
I
saying?
love that.
Like you're gonna do something for your mom to let you go somewhere. So why not give an offering to your ancestor before you ask for financial gain or prosperity or abundance gain? You know what I'm saying? So you want to make sure that when you're doing ancestor work using your spirit team or your spirit guides, that you leave an offering, because that will better bring that abundance of whatever you are manifesting or asking for to you.
Yeah, and I do really love that because you should. I see so many people just like ask, 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 and kind of just take, take, take. And I know that. I have seen people that started working with the ancestors and then they start to get bad luck. And then I'll be like, have you cleaned the altar? Have you fed the ancestors? Have you given to them? And they're like, oh, I forgot. I was
Oh,
doing.
God.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
Well, Cal, for me, I do put my offering on my altar when I'm doing ancestor work or any kind of work that I'm using. Say for even if I'm using like a god like Saint Expedite or a god is like Freya, you always want to put an offering on that altar if it's dedicated to them. Now, as far as the food, I don't leave my offering, like my food offering, on there for more than 2 to 3 days. I don't want it to be molded. Now, what you do with it, what I do with my offering is I basically put it in a bag and I throw it away, but I don't throw it away in my house. I either may bury it at a cemetery or I can bury it near a cemetery, but I bury it far, far away from my house.
okay, so the way that I do it, they eat the spiritual essence or the energy coming off the food, so you're never gonna see the food actually mow down or the drink.
Yeah,
I wait 24 hours because I'm like, they already ate the essence of it, they already ate it, and I do put it in a bag, but I actually throw it in the trash because I'm like, sometimes I throw my food in the trash too, so like, that's just how I do it. You got your way of doing it. I think they both work. Well, if your ancestors tell you I don't want that shit in the trash, then don't put it in the trash.
right. To be honest with you, your ancestors going to tell you what kind of offering they want, if you are connected with them. Like one time I had my ancestors tell me to go get raw fish out of the river when I could have went to the grocery store and got some raw fish, but they wanted directly for the river. So you don't want to just understand that your ancestors may not eat what you made.
That is
They may
a
not want
great
what you
thing.
made.
So you touched up on a great thing that sometimes I see people do. Sometimes I'll see vegetarian people try to put a vegetarian diet on the ancestors, and they're not going to want that. Some of them
Right.
ate. Some of them will love pigs. Some of them will love fish, just as yours wanted. That's another
Yeah.
great thing, and that's another great tip. Do not try to force your diet on these ancestors because they had their own diet. They have their own favorite foods and stuff like that.
Right. Right.
You know, I do also want to like go back to that little grace thing that you were saying because I really love that. You should be going to offerings, incense, loving them, giving them their respect. Of course, people are going to
Right.
welcome you better, and your work is going to be a lot stronger if you're doing that. Just because I do sometimes just see people who think that the ancestors have to help you, and the ancestors do not have to help you, and some of them don't
They
want
don't.
anything to do with you. So
And to be honest with you, some of your ancestors don't even have your best interest. So if you don't know who your ancestors is, if you haven't went back into your bloodline or your lineage, you can summon an ancestor that probably don't even like you. You know what I'm saying? So definitely be careful with that. You want to make sure. I would say if you're gonna do ancestor, any kind of ancestor work, even if you don't know who they is, just due to the unknown. But make sure you can feel the energy. If it's feeling shaky, you just tell them to leave.
I do the same thing as through the energy signature, and then I will always state that I only welcome the ancestors that want to help me, that have wisdom for me, or that can like uplift me in some way. But that's another great thing because these are people. If you have a murder ancestor, be careful with that. What happens if you're
Right.
adopted? So remember, guys, your mother is your ancestor, correct? And she came in, or your father, and they both came in through
Hmm.
marriage, and it was through marriage that they united. So if you're adopted, your adopted parents become your ancestors because you have joined that clan, you have joined that house. So your adopted parents are your ancestors, and you still walk with your ancestors. Yes, you may not know a lot of knowledge about them, a lot of things, but they're still with you. Your nose, your eyes, your lips, your
Right.
features, those are
Your
all your
blood, the
ancestors.
blood, the blood that's going through your veins. You don't necessarily have to know your ancestors. You can always just say, I want to, give gratitude to the unknown of my ancestors. Positive positive spirits of ancestors to help me or to guide me or to lead me.
Yeah.
So like I was adopted, so I don't really know who my ancestors is. I do now because I asked for help, but before then it was more like me just giving thanks to my adopted parents, ancestors, and they actually helped me,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah, and
were.
then I've heard some people be like, "Well, I want to like a picture. How do I do it with that?" You can always take a white rag, a white handkerchief, prick your finger, put a little bit of blood, and frame that. So because I
Hmm.
know some people. There's also people that dislike their current ancestors. They don't like the people that they come from, or they don't approve of those people. You can go back further. You don't
Hmm.
need to be calling those ancestors, and not everybody is going to ascend to ancestorhood. Some of them um, question. So really quick, let's get to this question, then we'll come back. Question.
Okay. My mother dreamed one of the.
So what I would say with that, maybe one of your ancestors could have been worshiping that deity, and it's showing back up on you. And we are, yes, as Mexicans, we are 99% Catholic, but we are 100% traditionalist, and we still carry our own traditions from pre-Hispanic things that still surface through. So I do think that maybe it could be an aspect that one of your people went out to, or it could just be the deity wants to connect with you now. But
Well, for me, if that deity came to your mother in her dreams, it could be different signs in my spiritual journey. Like you can get a deity that I'm not sure which one it was, if you knew the name of something, but you can always read up on her or to see what she was about. Some deities could be for protection. Some deities could be for a sign of,
great,
there's many ways they could come to you, and it could be that they are here to either protect you or to help you, or to give you a sign of something. So whatever she, was calling upon or praying to, maybe that deity came to assist her. So she may want to do her research on who this deity was to see what they were about, the colors and what they, it's a lot of things that they can come to you about. Go ahead.
No, I love that. I love that. You should be like checking on
Mhm.
what is the deity about. Is it for protection, fertility? Is it a warrior spirit? Like I love that. That would be carrying a message of what is in that. And especially if she wasn't
Right.
threatened and if she wasn't scared, then I would look into that. I would,
To it.
see
Right.
just because we carry the bloodline of past people, so it could also just this could be coming in again. But I do like that, they do carry a message.
Yeah.
So we have another question. What about ancestors who died from a disease like cancer?
It doesn't matter what they died from, they still be an ancestor.
Yeah, so the physical body, so the ancestors have lost the physicality and they've lost the physical body. If, she
Mhm.
died really horribly, if anybody's ancestors died badly and you want to work with them, maybe light them a candle, like Hannah said, give them attention first, give them what they
Mhm.
need, and then go and ask. But, maybe if, like, let's say they died from cancer from smoking, I wouldn't give cigars, I wouldn't give cigarettes, I wouldn't give anything that killed them. Or if they drank and they died from alcohol, I would probably like keep away the booze and keep away that kind of stuff. But when they come
Mhm.
to dying from diseases, I feel like because they shedded the body, they're no longer physical, they don't carry the problems of being sick, they don't have the like
Yes.
issue of that.
See, I agree with that. Now, that's something that we both can have. We have the same beliefs with that. So, definitely, I definitely would say exactly what J Man said.
So that warrior goddess, Gloria, maybe your mother needs to protect herself. Maybe she needs to watch out. Maybe it could be a warning about someone who could be trying to challenge her. Warrior spirits are
Hmm.
good for defending yourself, protecting what's yours, and just like taking care of stuff like that. So maybe it could be just something that is giving her a heads up, is giving her a warning.
Right. You're very welcome. So, what was we talking about?
Um, we were talking about just offering and spirits. So what work is done with spirits? And you were telling me about divination. I was saying about I asked them for favors. What are some
Hmm.
things that you can do with spirits?
Well, you can, spirits are good to communicate for messages, like things that you may feel like, okay, I need some answers to. They are good with guiding you through meditation. Spirits can be used for basically anything, you know what I'm saying? Just depending on your intentions.
Yeah. I do a lot of necromancy work with spirits. So there are
Hmm.
spirits that are not my ancestors that I go looking for in the cemetery. I'll divine which ones are wanting to work with me. I had this horrible thing happen probably like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and I went through like five cemeteries, and I just kept looking for that one perfect spirit to find, and I was able to find him, and I did a ritual on top of his grave, and I like tried to call him to come help me. And I made a deal with him, and I have him on my ancestor altar. I have like I give him offerings, and I do all sorts of stuff like that. So there are spirits that you can go and you can make relationships with. This is a bit more dangerous though, because your ancestors do got your back. It's like a safer way to go about it. But you can also use different spirits for different things. As a lot of you know, I work with the spirit of a pregnant girl who died, who committed suicide, and she was my super good friend. So we were tight, in school and like going through. So those are people can say that they're very dangerous because they have two life forces within them. I work with her just fine. I ask her for stuff all the time. I'll clean her grave. I'll put little baby clothes and give her offerings as well on her grave. So there are other
Hmm.
spirits that you can go to and do different things. And they don't gotta be bad things. Some of these spirits I ask for protection. I ask them to take care of people, to watch out for other people. And then there are bad ones that you can definitely use.
Right. And I could tell you this, like for me, I know J-Man doesn't believe in angels, but before I connect with any spirit, I always ask like Archangel Michael or an ancestor or ascending master, if you guys know what those are, to help me and protect me. So, you can always use not just your ancestors for protection when connecting or, trying to channel spirits. You can ask Archangel Michael or Archangel Raphael. There's many ways that you can get protection from the spiritual realm.
I think that you just gave a great piece of advice because if you're not comfortable and you're not ready or like you just feel a bit scared, you should be calling in whatever you believe in to kind of be the intermedium between you and the ancestors and all of that, or the spirit if you're going to go
Right.
do some spirit work like that. Um, so different parts of the grave you can use for different parts of working when it comes to spirit work.
Hmm.
Whenever you want to influence somebody's mind, you usually pick dirt off of the headpiece. So you try to see like
Hmm.
the way that the headstone is, and you collect dirt from the headpiece. If you and this is used for good and evil, guys, because in the cemetery there's good and evil people buried. So it's just a huge accumulation of energy that you can get from. We pick from the shoulders region if we want to like lift burden or cause burden. If you want to influence the heart with necromancy and the use of spirits and all of that, you pick from the heart. Whatever part you pick up, it's just like picking from a body. You have to look at it like it's a body, and you can pick dirt from the genitals, from the feet, from the hands. All of that is different. All of those
Yeah.
serve a different purpose. It's not the same as because sometimes I see people just grab dirt and then they take it home, but they don't really know what part or where they're grabbing like that dirt
Right.
comes
But
from.
if you're gonna go and you're gonna get dirt from the cemetery from an ancestor or just from someone's grave, you never just want to go pick up the dirt and leave. You always want to leave an offering, whether it's pennies or jewelry or
Alcohol.
something, alcohol or just water. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Something to give thanks because for me, in my spiritual standpoint, I can't, if you go pick up some dirt and you don't leave an offering, whatever you're going to use that dirt for could backfire on you. It could probably not work. So make sure that if you're going to use, what is it called? Necromancy?
Yeah, well, I mean, just spirit work. I don't really go too much
Yeah.
with the word necromancy, but like
Yeah.
just to give it a definition
Well,
more.
if you're going, yeah, if you're going to do any kind of work with graveyard dirt, make sure that before you go and just grab you a bag, a pinch, or whatever, a dirt that you leave an offering. Okay, it could be anything: brandy, NJ, water, some
Yeah,
jewelry, some
give and take, the
pennies.
equal exchange for sure.
Yeah.
That's like touching up on another thing. It's always good
Hmm.
to build a relationship. I know that sometimes with necromancy or with other types of forms of magic this way, they like to enslave the spirits and make them work for them, and like you kind of own them and you tell them what to do. I don't like doing none of that shit because I feel like if you enslave a spirit and you were to send that to me or I'm around it, I will offer that spirit freedom. I'll be like, hey, do
Hmm.
you not want to be a slave to this person? Would you like to like go do your own thing? And they're usually going to take it. And when they do take
Right.
it, they're gonna come for your ass next. So, make sure that you're not just forcing your will on these spirits. You're giving them, just like you said, it's a give and take. What they do for you, you got to
Yeah.
give to them.
You
And
gotta do for them. Yeah.
like
It's kind of like, but it's kind of like that. It's like basically how you treat other people on this physical plane right now.
I feel like
It's
people
basically,
just don't do that shit. Like they are so
yeah.
entitled and they get entitled with the spirits too.
Right. But I feel like the law, like I don't know if y'all guys believe in the 12 universal laws. I know that me and J-Man has different beliefs on that, but the law of compensation is basically what we're trying to say, you get what you pay for. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't pay for it, you ain't gonna get much. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I agree with definitely with that. Let's see, they got some more questions. When you're taken, do you lift the loom and then take the dirt, or do you? Okay, so I don't even know what a loom is, guys. I'm sorry.
Me either. When you're taking, do you lift the loom to take the is she talking about like the grass? Do you
Okay,
lift the
well,
grass?
in Colorado it's dirt. So like the cemetery where I go up, Doc Holiday Cemetery, that's all dirt. There's not really no grass there, so I can just
So what I do if there's grass, yes, it's
yeah, the
grass.
grass,
What I do when there's grass on the
the grave.
the place, the grave site, I don't necessarily take it from the grave site because I don't want. I love nature, so I have a green thumb too. So I'm not going to just dig up some grass and sometimes the cemetery's grass be the most prettiest grass.
Mm.
So what I'll do is go to like a tree that is around that cemetery, and what I would do is I would just leave an offering at a grave site. I'll go grab me some, I'll leave an offering at that grave site where I basically went and talked to them, build that relationship over the weeks. And then I will go and leave an offering at his or her grave site. And I will find a tree where there is grass, dirt, and I will pick up the dirt from there. But I wouldn't necessarily say just because of my beliefs to go mess up the
Yeah, and,
grass.
I mean, and then I do love that because you're already connecting to them. So if you want to have that tree be the bridge between you and them, that will totally work as well. And then what are
Right.
your thoughts on having to have an ancestor buried in a cemetery in order to collect graveyard dirt? So, like to have, I don't have any ancestors buried around these cemeteries. I usually like it's either
Yeah.
people I know who were my friends, or it's new dead spirits that I meet. So, I don't know much on that. If you want to throw some input on that,
Actually, I never had an ancestor buried. I'm not originally from North Carolina, so I live in North Carolina. Most of my ancestors were buried in West Virginia or New York. So I would have to basically go back to New York or West Virginia to basically go to their grave site. So I just basically go to someone that I connected with spiritual wise, because I believe that spirits know each other's energy and other spirits from past lives, like back to what is spirits. I feel like the energy that J-Man was talking about. I feel like if I go to a gravesite, I can tell you that my spirit is and my energy is going to automatically take me to a gravesite that connects with me on a different level.
yeah.
You
And
get what
see,
I'm
that's
saying?
why I don't think that you need to have an ancestor buried at a cemetery to collect dirt. Just because these
Right.
are people, some people they want help, others want to help, others want to like not be bothered. Like I said, there's good and bad and everything in between in the cemetery. So, um, it's up to you. Some of them will work with you, some of them don't. I work with a lot of
Right.
spirits that I don't. They're not blood related to me. You know.
Yeah, I do too. And I work with a lot of spirits that I probably knew in a past life that probably didn't even have the same type of blood. But I have worked with a spirit that told me that she was my great 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 aunt, and I never knew it.
Okay, and then how would you verify that? What are your techniques to like know when they're telling the truth or to know if that's the
Well,
ancestor?
when she told me her name was Agnes, Agnes Brown. I basically did, ancestry.com. And I went way back to that's when I found out that I was actually uh that's when I found out that who my real parents was.
Yeah.
And she was my great 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 aunt. My mom's mom, her mom, and then her mom, and then Agnes were sisters.
So I do love that. So I do think that that is an effect of working with the ancestors. You're going to have more of your family kind of come through and you'll understand more of your family members. I always try to
Hmm.
do it through what they tell me or their energy signature because I feel like some of them are like, hey, go do this thing. And it feels weird to me. And I'm like, I don't feel comfortable with that. So I don't think you are who you're saying you are.
Well, see, that's why I did my research, because anybody could be like, I'm your great aunt, but I want you to go slaughter a pig and take his blood, and I just whatever she wanted me to do, it was okay, but I don't want to go into what it was.
No worries,
You
yeah,
know what
no
I'm saying?
worries. Just make sure you guys that you know, like if they're asking you to do something, you need to be really cautious and really careful because it is a dangerous craft, but so is crossing the street if you're careless. You know, you'll get hit
Right,
by a
but
car.
I always tell, as a spiritual advisor, I always tell my students to do your research. Do your research. Even with what me and J Man is speaking on right now, it's always great for you to go and you do your own research so you can collect your own perspective of this type of stuff that we're talking about. So always do your research. Read, 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 read as many books as you can.
Yeah. So we have another one. I've never met my biological father. No pics of him either. How would I connect with him? So if your father's deceased, which I'm assuming he probably is because you're asking this, you already carry a part of your father because that's your genetic makeup. So when it comes to ancestors, so we're gonna shift a little bit now from the cemetery spirits. Those are different. Those you do have to like connect, do all of that. If you want to connect with somebody in your past and you don't know them or like somebody that comes from you, you carry them in your DNA, like Hannah said. So the way that I connect with my ancestors, and we all do this differently, you guys, I simply tell them that I allow them to come into my life. I say, I'm open to you, I'm listening to you. If there's something you want to say, if there's something you want, if there's something I can do for you, go ahead and tell me. I feel like, this is my personal way. When I want to open my psychic mind, when I want to open myself, I simply have to say, I'm open, I'm receiving, being available to the energy. So maybe start with that. Maybe be like my biological father, burn him maybe incense, burn him something, and just be like, thank you for birthing me. I hope that you're good and that you're well off, and I'm thankful that I'm alive because that's the role of the ancestors. They struggled so you could be here.
So, well, Elizabeth Davis, I don't work with, I do medium, but how I connect with my ancestors or connecting with any spirit or any angel or sending masters, I'm a meditation, I meditate a lot. I kind of say I'm a meditation expert when it comes to that. And what I do is I set my attentions on what I want or who I want to connect with. And what the answers that I need. So what I do is I will basically set the mood, candles, incense, crystals, whatever it is that makes you feel more in a mood to be calm and relaxed, meditation music, whatever. And what I do is, because I have a lot of kids, I have 6 kids, I take a face mask, the sleeping face mask, and I put it over my eyes and I put headphones in my ear and I listen to something that is going to make me feel calm. It's going to relax my body, whether it's guided meditation or just binaural beats, right? And I will let myself become um, come and relax. And I set my intentions and I ask for my protection. And I'll just basically do what J Man says. I welcome any ancestor or any spirit here in a comfortable energy to come to me and let me know what it is that I need to know for whatever reasons that you have, or whatever questions that you have. And they'll come to you. I can tell you this. when you are connecting to them in a meditation state, they're going to come to you in a form where you understand. They may come to you as a form of a woman, of a shadow, of a cat, of a dog, of something. They're going to come to you um, of a form of something through your meditation, and it's going to be familiar to you. And you're going to be so familiar and so comfortable that you're going to be able to talk to them just as if you were talking to J-Man on the phone, you know?
The way that they communicate with me, and I know what they're asking for, we're all human, guys. We're gonna keep it real here. Sometimes not so much, but when I was younger, I would get urges to steal. I would get urges to be wrathful and angry. I would get urges for like certain foods that I don't normally like. I felt
Mm-hmm.
that the way that they told me what they wanted was by like I could feel their desire. I could feel what they wanted, and it took me a moment to be able to distinguish, hey, this is what I'm feeling. This is something from the outside that is coming in. So to me, it was all through feeling. It was all through like them giving me urges or them telling me to like do this or not do that. I could like kind of tell now in a way you're right. I do converse with them and I do like talk to them just like I'm talking to you, myself, and stuff like that.
Right.
And they let me know. But another thing, when you guys want to connect with spirits or ancestors, or if you don't know them, smell. The spirits carry in all traditions smell and incense. Go ahead.
Right. But I can tell you this: spirits, ancestors, angels, ascending masters do not go by, they don't understand words. Okay. They understand energy. Okay. And when I mean energy, is you, like J Man said, you can't destroy or create energy. So if your energy or your vibe or your vibration is low, they're not going to come to you. They're not going to speak to you. They're not going to do anything to you because they need you to be on a high vibrational, a high energy level so y'all can be on the same frequency. You know what I'm saying? I can tell you this: spirits' energy is bigger and better than angel energy. I can tell you that.
Okay, that's another great point. You do need to be able to recognize and be cognitive to like what they're saying. So for me, that would mean like no drugs, no booze. You got to be
Right.
clear-minded. Your filter has to be working at 100% in those moments so that you can perceive everything correctly. I do agree if something's messing with your perception, if you're clouded in any way, it is twice as hard to actually get to
For
know
them to
that.
connect.
But
Yep.
Nefertiti, if you want to burn incense to your father and you want to start with that and just be like, I'm thankful. Smoke in almost all cultures carries messages, whether it's to the gods or to the spirits or to anything else like that. So, you know, use that. What are your thoughts on using cremations of ashes for a loved one for a tattoo? I think that's a great spiritual protection, but
That's a
I
great
think
job.
you need to be really aware of what ancestor you're doing that with, because these
Yeah.
are people. So if they weren't great human beings in life and they weren't like very kind or very pleasant, I don't think they're gonna be. I think they're gonna kind of remain the same once they're dead. So I think that's a great thing, but just make sure that you do know who you're using, you do know who you're calling. I would make sure that like, let's say if you had a racist um, ancestor, and you want and you're gonna be with colored people, or you are with a colored person romantically, I would maybe stay away from tattooing or putting a piece of that person's way of life and his energy form on my body, because I think sometimes I do notice that people get problems because they mess with spirits or the ancestors. We'll keep it to ancestors since we're talking on this. They get sick, shit goes wrong for them, and they don't understand. But it's from like I think it's from the like negligence of taking care of it, being truly aware. These are not energies that you can just call and go at your whim. People always say, well, it's hard to feed them all the time. Then spirit work is not for you. If feeding them is
Right.
a challenge, if these things that are required it's too high maintenance for you, don't bother it, because it's going to end up causing you more problems sometimes than it does resolve them.
Who do I get out of how do okay, who do I get out of fear? My mom knew that I'm afraid of the dead and spirits
Okay, so I
that are
really like this topic. So here's the thing with spirits, you guys. It takes so much to be alive. You have to rest. You have
Yes.
to eat well. You have to maintain your physical body. There's so much work that goes into having this physical flesh body.
Body.
So most
Mm-hmm.
times you're going to be stronger than most of those spirits. Not all of them. And, you know, we have different things or we can believe the same. Just giving mine. You are naturally have a shit ton more vitality in life and all of that running through you. So here's the other thing, you guys. So, Catherine, I love what you just brought up. If you are afraid, if you believe that you're calling a fucking demon, you're going to call that because we are vibrations. My thoughts, my feelings, my will, my action, all of that has ripples and it calls out. So, if you're like lighting a candle and you're like, oh, I'm so scared. Oh my God, what if something evil comes in? It's going to be evil. You are opening
Can
that
I
air.
pause you? Can I pause it?
Yeah,
Basically, what J-Man is saying in so many forms, because I believe in the law of attraction, which is basically what he is saying. If you are saying, I'm scared of spirits and I'm scared of the dead, then that's what you're going to get.
mm-hmm.
Okay. How to face your fears is to say, I am not scared. They have no control over
And you
me.
got to,
They cannot harm me. You know what I'm saying? So it's basically affirmations. Basically what he said, I believe it as humans, he said it's hard for us to take care of ourselves. So first things first, if you're not taking care of yourself by loving yourself, or you're not doing self-care work, self-care rituals or self-healing rituals, then you're going to always feel like you putting those negative vibrations into the universe.
yeah,
And the universe is kind of like karma. Okay. It's going to give you what you asked for. Whether you said that you didn't mean it, it's going to come.
correct.
So that's how you change it, by changing the way you're thinking. This right here, this thing up here has a lot of things going on in it. And you have a way to, you can't control it, but you can change it. And that's by writing down or writing out what it is that's making you feel that way. That's
Yeah.
how you face your fear.
And just like me and Hannah said, you declare what spirits you're allowing in there. You know, I don't do just an open invitation for whatever spirit, whatever ancestor wants to come on with.
Right.
I have a criteria, I have a filter set in place, but you have to be feeling comfortable. Like we always say, like you can have the world's best material in your hands, but if the hand that wields it isn't knowledgeable or isn't up to it, you're not going to get a good result. So if you are,
And to be honest with you, Catherine, spirits around you every day. There's some spirits that stays here on physical plane because did you know Earth is spirits playground? Sometimes they just come down here to play. They ain't harming nobody. They just playing.
yeah, I
So
believe
if
that
you're
too.
scared of,
They're just here all the time.
they're here all the time. Some spirits may be here because they lost their way. They don't even know that they're dead. They're just lingering around, like trying to talk to people. Hey, do you see me? Hey, hey, do you see me? Am I still alive? What's going on? Some spirits just linger around because either they just like playing, they like being here on earth, they miss living on this physical plane, and some just lost their way and they haven't found the light. So you can't be necessarily too scared, because every time you walk outside or every time you walk in your house, spirits are lingering, whether they negative or positive
And
spirits.
remember, guys, crossing the street is extremely dangerous. You just have to know how to
Right.
cross the street. Same with spirit work,
Exactly.
you know, little by little. So you actually go into the next point. There are different types of spirits. Some of them are wandering spirits. You know, some souls are lost and they're kind of going through. For lost souls and anything like that, I always try to offer a cycle pump. And what a cycle pump
Mm-hmm.
is a guider of souls. It can be a dog, a cat, a horse. That's just the way that my mind works with cycle pumping. Like Hannah said, you can call an ascending master, you can call an angel, you can call something to kind of give a little guidance to this soul, because you also want to be giving back. You know, if
Right.
somebody is a lost soul and you know that like they're lost and they're wondering and they don't know their way, if you want to reap the benefit of working with spirits, maybe offer them some help as well. Try to guide their soul.
Right. Because actually, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna give you, these are notes that I typed up a couple days ago before when we was trying to do
Mm-hmm.
this. So you have 1 second. I typed them up. Okay, so it's 4 different types of lingering spirits, and I'm gonna tell them to you. The first ones is the lingering spirits that visit loved ones. That's basically ancestors. Okay, these spirits come and visit you. They come and visit you, or you know, their living relatives. Okay, they don't want to scare you or harm you. They just want to make sure that you're fine. They want to make sure that you're protected. Those are spirits that linger. And then you have the confused spirits. Okay, like ghost, like J-Man said. Now, they have an attachment with the physical world, okay? And that keeps them from moving on. They confused. They don't know if they on in the spiritual realm or on physical earth, okay? So they may be scared out of judgment, you know, they may be grief for loss of their life, okay? They enjoy living as a human, so they enjoy living the old way. So they're not happy with their spirit form. And then you have past life connections. Some of us have spirits that's lingering around with us because we have a past life connection with each other. They know your energy, they know your spirit, they know our spirits kind of connect. It's kind of like energy transformation. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you have the ones that just come to earth to linger, to play for entertainment, just to be playing around. They don't harm nobody, they just want to have fun. So
Okay.
there is spirit
Yeah, I want
that
to add
has
to
pet.
that list. So there
Uh-huh.
is also hungry spirits. So hungry spirits
Hmm.
usually were really greedy people, and they never felt full, and they like whether it's food, cash, objects or whatever. Hungry ghost, they tend to just they will either eat your vitality, so it's not good to keep them
Hmm.
around because they'll start to drain your life force. You can give them offerings of food. You can try to give them what they want. So like ancestor money. You can burn them money if they were really like they loved cash and they loved wealth. You can burn a big package of that and be like, I hope this is to help you on your journey. I hope this is enough. But here you go. There's also lonely ghosts. So people who were going to get married and died, people who died virgins, and people who like died by themselves. They're looking for love. This is where you kind of get those succubus, incubus types of spirits that will have sex with people or they'll invade people. And it's I know they're looking for love, but it's not a great combination to do. You still have to be careful with those. With those
Hmm.
ones, you can either have a fake wedding for the ones that were going to get married with some fetish dolls and like marry them off. For the ones that were virgin ghosts, you can give them phallics or vaginal shaped things to offer to them. And then the spirits that I consider really dangerous are those that died in passion. Whether an ex got really angry and came and murdered you, or
Yeah.
somebody was obsessed with you, anything that involves a lot of passion and it resulting in your death. I feel like those spirits are really violent. They're angry. They're like resentful. They're hard to approach. I've done. This woman got murdered up by where I used to live. The man shot her through the mouth and through her hands, and
Mm.
that day was horrible. And that day, I went to go do some offerings and justice work for her. I'm not light in love when it comes to that. I'm like, fuck him up and kill him and do what you got to do to get
Right.
him back. So I went there, and it was just so hard to connect. She was not having it. She's fucking pissed, and it's understandable. So with like those kinds of spirits, crimes of passion or anything like that, you do have to be careful. So there's another question. How soon
Hold on, let
after?
me ask a question. How many of you guys, I'm gonna tell you how I learned this, what he's talking about. It's a show called Ghost Whispers. Have anybody watched that show?
I
I learned You have to watch that show. It talks about everything that you said. And that's how I learned about those ghosts that actually died in passion or, you know,
do all of.
horror. Yeah, and that shit is actually real, what he's saying. I've seen it happen here in North Carolina. But go ahead.
Yeah. So how soon after a person dies do you add them to the ancestor altar? And then how soon after can you start working them? So these are two very separate things. I feel like. As
Hmm.
soon as a person dies, I add them to my altar because I feel like the ancestors are there to welcome them and to help them and to like, hey, welcome to about this side of the family. So, and then after they, how soon can you work out after them? In Aztec mythology, we have to go through a bunch of trials to test our soul and to like prove your soul worthy. And it kind of puts you in a place of where you land. Like there's this lake, and if you've ever harmed an animal or you've been cruel to an animal, you'll sink to the bottom and you'll live in that lake. There's like another place where there's rocks fall in. So we wait a year, at least a year. And then if I feel that the person
Well,
is not there, then I just don't don't work with them that much.
Well, with me, I will immediately add them to my, and if they pass away, I'll immediately basically add them at an altar for them. But for me to start working with them, first and foremost, it depends on if I was connected with them on a physical plane. If we had a great connection energy wise, then I will work with them like soon as possible. But if I don't know the person and I haven't really connected with them energy wise or spiritually wise, then I wouldn't work with them. I will light a candle for them and send some gratitude and some love and light to them. But working with them as in any kind of spiritual work, I wouldn't do it,
Some of them
period.
take longer. My great grandfather, he murdered a lot of people and he was like really cruel and shit. And when I did try to work with him, I had a dream that he was like on a table with foam all over and he couldn't talk. And so like I took that as like he's still doing his thing. He's still going through his trials. He's still going through his thing. Like we do have to take that into account. The soul is doing,
Hmm.
they have their own life. They have their own thing. It might not be physical life, but they're doing their own thing. So sometimes you just have to wait, or sometimes they'll show up and let you know it's ready. I mean, you guys, this is all trial and practice. We can tell you as much
Right.
as
And
we want. Go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you something. When connecting with any kind of spirit, if they can't connect with you on any level, they'll send another spirit to try to assist you. So if you're calling on just one spirit, say for instance, the spirit's name was Samantha or something, and Samantha can assist you, she will send someone else there to assist you. I can tell you this: spirits can be at more than one place at a time. Um, so if you're working with the same spirit that I'm working with, and we both called on them at the same time, he could be there. They could be there with you and me at the same time. So I
That
do
plays
believe
on to
that.
you believing that they're interdimensional and they overlap each other through dimensions. That's so cool.
Right.
So see, I think of it in a different way because I feel like their conscious mind can only like I don't even know. That's a great way. I've never thought about that. Usually when I call
Hmm.
a spirit, if they come, they come, and if they don't come. And I always feel like they're busy or they're doing something else. But if you guys, that was a little gem right there. I do love that. You can't think that. I don't know. I have never experienced that. I've never tested that, so I can't say with that. All I know is that sometimes when I'm like, hey, you want to come help me, and they're not answering, I'm like, all right, well, they're busy. They're doing something else. But I
But you still get that help though, don't you?
they will like come through in the end and they will like come and do all of that. But I do love that, and that really makes me think, how do spirits play interdimensionally? How do they like go about time, go about all these other faces? Because I know that their perception is a totally different reality than here.
Well, it's kind of like Charmed, okay? Like Prue. Let's talk about Prue on Charmed. How she can have an outer body experience. You get what I'm saying? Like, you know how she will like project her other
Yeah.
body. Basically, spirits are like astral projectors. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like those projectors that, like, if you ever seen Tupac in concert, but it's not actually him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so spirits can be, it can be many of those like clones of spirits of that one spirit. You get what I'm saying? But they still the same. You get what I'm saying? So if you called on a spirit and I was using this spirit at the same time, they can clone their self for you to experience their energy and for me to experience their energy, and Elizabeth to experience their energy. It's kind of like it's like a ripple of them. You know what I'm saying? And I always believe that even when I'm calling on one spirit, I believe that spirits come in a form of a team. It could be 3 to 6 of them.
So see,
So,
I do love that. I keep thinking of it in a very physical way. So like my craft, you guys, it's all about the earth. It's about the now. It's about like, here we are. So I am thinking of it in a very physical way because it's hard for my mind to grasp how they would. But you're right. We are living in multi dimensions at the same time. So definitely that spirit could have different times of itself that it can come through, different times of consciousness.
right, right,
Okay,
because
so
spirits are their energy is very high. You know what I'm saying? Some spirits' energy could be higher than yours. You know, so depending on what spirit that you're calling, whether they're low vibrational, then you may not be able to feel their energy because your energy is too high for them. But if you have a high vibrational spirit that you're calling on, he can ripple himself for him to be there for you, and then ripple himself for someone else. But if he don't have that power to do that, then he'll tell someone else, hey, go see about jman while I work with Hannah. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they work together. We all have spirit teams. We
Yeah.
all have spirit teams. Just like you have a spirit guide, you have a whole team of spirits that's going to come to assist you, whether it's the main spirit that you work with every day, or the spirit that he said you're on standby, you got to work with the next person. It's kind of like Jesus and the seven disciples.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
So now let's talk about negative spirits, negative ancestors. When you have
hmm
gone into the wrong side, and
hmm
how do you get rid of them? How do you uninvite them? What do you have to do then?
okay. So you want me to go?
You can go or I can go. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you
So
want.
for me, what I do is to get rid of unwelcome spirits or evil spirits, I basically will, uh, what I do is first and foremost, if there's a spirit in my house, I'm opening all my windows and I'm opening all my front door, my back door. And I'm going to throw salt in the darkest corner of my house in every room. And I'm going to light my sage and my incense and my candles, and I'm going to ask them to leave. And all spirits can hear you and understand you when when their energy is not right, and they know that they didn't come in a loving form. You know what I'm saying? So you want to I basically encourage them to move on, okay, from this earthbound, because sometimes earthbound spirits or ghosts are just need that reassurance that they are okay to go on, to move on. You know what I'm saying? um some earthbound spirits don't see the light, so you got to help them figure that out. They probably just not there to harm you, but they just there because they confused. So you could ask them to call to their guardian angel or their spirit guides to let them get help. I always want to, I always ask Archangel Michael, because he's very powerful. He actually can help remove earthbound spirits or spirit connections that you no longer want in your life anymore. So you can say burn sage. You want to set your intentions to ask them to leave. You can ask your higher self. You can always intervene in the Akashic record. To release that attachment that they have on you, or um, you just got to be in a relaxed state of mind. So there's many ways that you
Yeah,
can get rid of unwelcome spirits,
there
but
is.
those are my way.
So the
Yeah.
way that I will usually get rid of them is I will buy a phallic penis and put them in all the room, little phallic penises and little symbologies of the yoni, little vaginas, just because life comes from there. And I notice that a lot of dead things tend to stay away from like just straight life force, and it can kind of irritate them. So I will do that, or I'll open a rose of Jericho since it's the flower of resurrection and it carries so much life force. For me, I tend to
Mhm.
push them out with life energy because their energy is kind of like energy of decay. They're kind of it's not bad. It's just the energy of decay that they carry. So I'll always try to do it with life force, and then with cycle
Mhm.
pumpers, whether it's images of cats or a dog or a horse, and I'll put it by the door. I also open the doors, though. I do create an opening, and I do create a way for them to leave the house. And then it's mostly through just talking to them when they're evil. I mean, I'm not nice and I'm not like telling them to go fuck themselves, but I'm super firm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is what I want and this is what's going to happen, period.
But you do have those stubborn spirits. You may have to use a combination of many methods to get them out. So I can tell you this: if you are like me and you believe sage is a very powerful cleansing tool, um, even if you're trying to sage any spirit or negative energy out of your house and your doors and your windows are closed, they're just going to just make them go around the house even longer. It's just going to make them flatter. You
And
know
then,
what I'm saying? It's like you spraying some freaking roach spray on some roaches, and none of them die. They just go, phew, they start running.
yeah.
That's how a spirit is. So you want to make sure that when you are asking the spirit to leave, that it's not welcome in your house or anywhere that you are at, You want to have everything open so they can go right out the window. And once you get them out the window, you want to seal your windows with some black salt for protection, or any kind of salt, or protection, or do a sigil, put a sigil on your window, a sigil, a protection of sigils or something like that. But you definitely want to do that. And that's what I do. I have black salt everywhere.
And then that reminds me of another point. Like the reason why we keep saying is that you have to practice. You're gonna have to do this. Let's say me and Hannah both have sage in our hands, but I'm not confident. I'm not being strong with it. We may have the same material, but for Hannah, it'll work a shit ton more powerful if she's engaged, if she's confident, if she's willing to do it. Remember that it's gonna be by your hands. So like your power is determined by you. It's not so much
Yes.
the things and the objects. They're your mediums. They're there to help you get that point across. But you are going to have to put work into this. You're going to have to do it. I have a lapis, cat, and burn camphor salt bowls with herbs, sigils on the windows, and lemon oil. So see, that's a wonderful thing. You already have your combination.
Hmm.
You know how magic translates to you in the way that you want to work that energy. So that's perfectly fine. Like we said,
Yes,
everybody
I
has.
love that.
Go
I
ahead.
love that, Elizabeth. Now I need to know what kind of lemon oil you use. Can you like inbox me, because that sounds
Careful
that
with
sounds
cats,
really good.
toxic to cats. Make sure that before you, if you got pets, be very careful with your oils because they can damage pets. But
Yeah.
so what are the benefits that you can get from spirit work and ancestor work?
Um, depends on you. Okay, for me, and I'm going to say this because this is my perspective. It's a lot of work that you can benefit from spirit work and ancestor work, but the law of belief does come into this benefit. Um, if you are not feeling very powerful, or you're second guessing these spirits, or you're second guessing your power, then you may not get a benefit out of any of this. So I can tell you this based off of my experience: believe in your work, believe in your power. That's the benefit that you're going to get out. The more you believe, the more confidence you have, the more assertiveness and empowerment that you have with the spirit or the ancestor and the work, the better the outcome. So it's kind of like bring more positivity into that work instead of more negativity. If you go and you do some work and then you say, hey, I don't think it's going to work, you basically just said your work isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So I think it's all about energy energy frequency.
Yeah.
So remember, our words are energy. So
Yeah.
be careful how you speak about your work.
I feel like a great big benefit that I've gotten from, I guess, the ancestors, we'll start there, is I've learned a shit ton about people and how people think and how relationships go. And then I've also learned a lot about money. They've helped me out with money. They've helped me out with like relationships. When it comes to, I feel like anything that is alive, like anything in my life that is living, that is relationships, that is work, that is stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten a lot of benefit. And then necromancy, and I use this word very loosely, but I can't think of a better word. So with that one, what I have gotten a lot of benefit of is, I mean, the sky's the limit with it. Some of them help with love life. You can ask a spirit to mix some food and, the ancestor or a spirit and feed it to somebody. You can ask them to protect you from a certain somebody. You can ask them to attack a certain somebody. So the sky's the limit when it comes to spirit and ancestors work. You could even be like, help me find a treasure. I'll give you some treasure. And, some of them might be willing to
Yeah.
help you find a treasure.
But you gotta keep that confidence in your power too, because the spirit is going to do so much. The ancestors are going to do so much, and some of the work is going to be led to you to do. You know what I'm saying? I always tell my people when I'm teaching about this stuff like this is, the things that we use are tools, and the things that we want, we have to work for it. It's kind of like you can't say I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna ask my ancestors to do a money ritual, and you're not out looking for a job to make money. So
Thank you.
um,
Yeah.
it's always about doing the work on the physical plane while they're working up there in the spiritual world. Um, but if you're just sitting on waiting on your ancestors, or say expedite to send you some money, then you'll be for waiting forever.
Yeah, you will.
So
Well, does anybody have some questions now? We've kind of been all over the place and talking a little bit about
we have.
But and again, guys, these are just mine and Hannah's beliefs. You guys practice, you guys do what you can. If any of what we have said does not sit right with you, don't do it. The beautiful thing about the craft is
Yeah,
you don't have to do that. This is a
it's yours.
powerhouse, though, for those of you that do want to embark on this journey, that do want to give this a try. This is something that you can tap into to make your craft stronger, to protect your family and yourself more, I would say. So it comes with
Hmm.
huge benefit, but it does require maintenance, like all relationships, especially one that you'll be getting a lot from.
Right. And y'all, and you know what? I would definitely, for me, even though we are giving you our perspective and what we do in our spiritual journey and our ancestor work, I would definitely, tell you guys to go what feel comfortable for you guys. Whether you don't feel like you need to connect with no spirits, then don't do it, okay? But I would definitely tell you guys to do more research on it if you are interested. I'm more than welcome to. I do offer spiritual connection classes. Also, I want to tell you guys about, since J-Man talked about how ancestor and, spirit work works for money, I do have an employment oil that I actually use a lot with my rituals in my even for other people. And it actually is very powerful oil, employment oil for people that is looking for, financial stability, in employment. So if you would like to, learn more about that, it is a very valuable but old oil. It's very potent. You only need a couple dabs or drops to apply on a paper or like on a
Okay.
an application, or put it on your phone, just putting it on you, rubbing it on you every day, and speaking positive affirmations with it as you apply it. It has worked for me plenty times. So,
Okay. And then Catherine said, I'm new, so where should I start? I feel like you answered that by saying research, education,
hmm.
looking into stuff. I think that is the wonderful thing. I also do have an ancestor incense blend that I'm working on. Copal. So Mexican people do a lot with our ancestors. We're known for like Day of the Dead and like all these types of things.
Hmm.
So the way that I started was with scents. I would burn incense and I would pray to them and I would be like, whatever you guys need, bless you, thank you, and that was my step. But I think research is the best way to go about it.
Yeah, research. I would definitely do your own research, because I can tell you this, some people ain't going to be as generous as me and J Man by giving this mini class on this. So, invest in your knowledge, invest in yourself, go get you some books on, where to start,
Be careful with fear mongering. Don't let people put fear in
mhm,
you. That's not okay.
no,
Like,
that is not okay. Yeah.
but
So definitely, invest in yourself, go find Amazon is a very big collage of different spiritual beliefs, what sits for you. First, find out what you want to do, like what spiritual journey you are trying to go to. You don't want to just go with what me or my beliefs or J-Man believes. You want to
personal
widen your
choice, yeah.
options. Yeah. So what calls to you first? So I definitely say start by knowing what you want to do in your journey before you start going to buy books, because you can confuse yourself.
Yeah. Well, alrighty, Miss Hannah. I think we've covered enough. Hopefully, we'll do another live soon, guys. This was our first one,
Yes,
and we kind of
it
scrambled to
was
get it
fun.
today, but it was really fun.
It was fun, and I want to thank you for letting me
Yeah, of
be a part of this
course.
live,
And you guys,
and thank you guys
if you guys want
for
to do a live
joining.
with Hannah, hit her up, and Hannah's free to do a live here. If you guys want to do a live with me, or if you want to just do a live on your own and share your opinion, you're welcome to. Here we can express ourselves and talk. And so, alrighty, guys, I will let you have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Hannah. I'll talk to
Bye,
you later.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.